Oh, where'd it go?
Oh, it's saying it's live on YouTube. Meeting
It
is now
does?
starting live.
Oh yeah, it does. It says it.
Sweet. Okay, and I am recording it now, so everything we're doing is kind of being recorded. Oh, where'd it go? Awesome.
Oh, it's saying it's live on YouTube. Meeting is
I
now
see it.
starting live.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's how we're going to start doing the board meetings is live on YouTube instead of Facebook.
I am recording it now, so everything we're doing.
Oh, we got to turn off volume, somebody.
Awesome.
Or maybe that's me. Hang on.
See it? Nice. Well, that's how we're going to start doing the board meetings is live on YouTube.
I think that's me.
Facebook. I am recording it now. Oh, we got to turn off volume, somebody.
Give me a second.
Maybe that's me. Hang on. Well, that's how we're going to start doing the board meetings is live on YouTube.
I think that's good. There we go. All right, I muted myself.
Yay!
Yeah, finally. It's more people cheer on that one, right? All right. So the first thing I wanted to show was Thinkific. Like I was telling Chelsea, it's just a cool little program. So let me see if I can find it on my, hopefully I didn't just close it. I want to say this is it. Yes, this is it. So I'm sharing it so we can all see. And I'm keeping the participants open in the background so I can let people in as they join. All right, so Thinkific is a course software. So what you can do is you can go into it and create lessons and modules. So what I'm doing is I redid our back to school training, since we were talking back to school training, I redid that for next year. So it's not going to be like a Survey Monkey that's kind of annoying and scrolls through. Instead, it's going to be like a course. So there's an introduction. And so if I click on overview, it'll show me what the overview is. You put content in here. And then in the modules, it's a bunch of lessons that are coined together where you can add different things. Like these are PDFs that I added in there. So instead of clicking on the PDFs in the Survey Monkey, which nobody did, you just kind of hit go to next, go to next, go to next. So let me do a preview. So we can do the course as an enrolled student. All right, I think everybody can see the thing. Cool. So you just have the overview. You kind of see it down at the bottom, complete and continue. And then it's just like your back to school trainings for the other stuff, right? Introductory statement, and then here's the PDF of the acceptable use policy pops up. So it's automatic, complete and continue. So you can add your own content into it like that. And then we scroll down to the bottom. So once I get down to the bottom, right, it has its own survey kind of thing you can do. Do you understand the acceptable use policy? So for teachers, this is awesome because you can say, yes, confirm, this answer is correct. So you can have correct answers. And if you said no, you can actually have it, what is the correct answer, or something like that. But then also the next one was I added the web page in there. So this would be a Microsoft Forms form that it's like the verification form. And this is the one that we will use to verify. So it would go to a different database, even though it's embedded within this whole course. It's really cool and slick. I can see it being used for secondary more so than elementary because you have like a whole unit that you can put in here. You can have unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, just like what's the high school software? Anybody high school in here? That software that the secondary kids are doing?
The Edgenuity?
Edgenuity. It's just like Edgenuity. You're making your own Edgenuity course.
Oh.
So it's pretty cool like that.
Videos?
Yes, you can embed videos, YouTube especially. I think I have those. Let me go to the modules. One of them was it this one? There we go. Bam. So you just have it there and you can play it embedded within it. So it's pretty neat. You're making your own Edgenuity and its own. This is just one module. Let's say that's unit 1. The kids go at their own pace. You can hand stuff in. Again, you can do Google Forms in here. So while they're doing it, they can be responding to different things. I'm wondering if we could do Edpuzzle in here, to where you do something and it's embedded in here and follow along in it. And then you get to the bottom and it's, hey, you've completed unit 1. Now go to unit 2. So thinking flipped classroom and how you do a whole bunch of different stuff, you can have them do the content this way. Because they don't need an expert on this, they're reading it. But then when they come to class, they know you guys. Flip concept. You guys are familiar with that. So yeah, just kind of thinking now it is free, but it's only free for 3 courses. So when you go more than that, it is expensive. I want to say it's like I was able to negotiate a deal for education sort of thing. That was that link. But it's still like $450, but it's unlimited. But now here's the thing. And this is where you think outside the box, and nobody I think of anybody higher up than me is on this thing. But they're probably seeing it on YouTube, so who knows? Think side gig, right? You can actually monetize this and create courses that you can sell based on hobbies, right? It's all courses. So a lot of this has a whole Facebook community that is about selling courses to other people in the world. Like say you have a hobby for genealogy, you can create a genealogy course and then set it to where when people register for it, they pay $20, right? So think side gig, right? Outside the box, but just for your classes though too, you got all kinds of stuff you can do with it there and tracking on the paid version. But the paid version is quite expensive. It's like 450 bucks, something like that. So just something to think on. So if you wanted to supplement it with a side gig, you could do that. So anyway, it's just kind of cool. I found it, thought I'd share it. Try to steal some of Chelsea's thunder before she gets there. So since I got y'all here for her, or you all came to talk, listen to her part of it, I figured I'd throw this out there first, get it out of the way. Any questions about Thinkific? Like I said, there's several that are out there. This is actually the least expensive one, and I got a deal on it, but it also seems like the one that's growing the most. There's, like I said, there's a Facebook group. So look up the Facebook group Thinkific if you are interested and see how some of those people are monetizing it. And it's really kind of makes you think life after school sort of thing on some of those things. Not saying we're all there, but I know I'm getting closer every day with everything going on. So anyway, what do you got? 3? So anybody have anything?
Here, 3 more, yeah.
Yeah, 3 more after this, huh? Lucky. I know, not that I'm counting, but I've only got 6 after this. If I make it through this, let's put it that way. Every day is another day.
Yes.
All right, cool. So there's that one. I guess if you want, Chelsea, did you want to go ahead and get started a little bit early on the Ed puzzle?
Yeah, I can start whenever.
Okay,
am
let
I
me
able
stop
to
sharing
share?
mine. Okay, so I stopped sharing, so now it's all yours. You should be able to just share away.
All right. Okay, well, here's my Ed puzzle. So I guess just a basic overview of Ed puzzle here. So your homepage is just giving you videos that you may be interested in. I'm not sure if I remember when I signed up for it, if I like selected that I teach math, so like obviously math stuff, or if they kind of see what content you've uploaded. But on the side here, you can see different curriculums. You can look for elementary curriculums, middle school, and it can get pretty specific here. I looked at it a little bit, like if you look, you can go in and find, math, and then kind of figure out exactly what, and then they give you suggested videos that would be along there. So with Ed Puzzle, you don't have to make your own, I guess, own videos, but you can look for other videos other people have found or created themselves. And then you can also, like here is Valley Park Public Schools. Now that we have an account, you can see anybody's content that is in Valley Park. So like this is all my content, but if I wanted to clear all of this, then I could see anybody who's uploaded any videos from our district to Ed Puzzle or have used any videos are all right here. For my content, this is how you can add your own videos. If you are creating your own video here, you can go just to add content. I haven't played around with create a video because I've created it elsewhere and then plopped it in here. So I usually do upload a video. And then I guess student project is something else that I'm not 100% familiar with. I haven't played around with that at this time, but I guess you can also organize things like into certain folders there. There's other channels, like they have, this is an Ed Puzzle channel. You can just go in here and say that you're looking for, integers or whatever, and then they pop up like a bunch of videos that you may be interested in. If you know of something on YouTube, Khan Academy, etc., TED Talks, all that kind of stuff is all off to the side, kind of just takes you through other channels to find videos that maybe you might be interested in, especially if you don't want to or don't have the time for or don't know how to make your own personal video. So that's kind of nice about Edpuzzle, is that you don't have to create your very own video. But when you, I guess, find a video, you can also, so I don't know, what did I say? Integers. If I find a video and say, I liked this video here, all these little dots at the bottom are somebody stopping the video and asking questions. And if I liked this video, but maybe I didn't like a couple of these questions that this person already posted on there, I can say copy. And now I have this video. This is part of, I think, my content, I believe, is where it should pop up. Yeah, so like now I own this video technically, and this is my video, and I can go in here and I can assign it to my classes. It's really easy if you have Google Classrooms to assign it, and I'll show you that. But then I could also edit it. So if I go to edit, I could say they have cut, voiceover, and then questions. I've used cut before. You can either drag this and shorten the video
9 pot.
if you want, or you can even, if there's like a part in the video where you're like, oh, this part I don't want them to say, or I recently had to do that because a email flashed up on my screen when I was recording a video, and I didn't want the kids to see what the email said in the middle of my video. So I was able to come in here and add a cut to it. So now I have like a part of time that this just skips over. The video just skips over that part. I don't have to worry about that. So that's where cut is. Voiceover, like I said, I don't really use this because my own videos already have my voice in it, so I don't need it twice. And then question part is one that I use a lot too. So they give you multiple choice questions, open-ended questions, and then you can also add like a comment or a note. It will just like pause the video in the middle of it, and you could say like, remember, blah, blah, blah. And then put that in there. But like if you just pick wherever in time you wanted a question, and you would just say like multiple choice, you could type in whatever your question might be, and then this would be your correct answer, and this would be your incorrect answer. You can add more options. So if you wanted more than just 2 options for multiple choice, you could do that.
So I've raised the temperature.
Also, put in an open-ended question here. So, and then when you put in like an open-ended question, these come back to you later for like the kids will type in whatever they want, but when you look at it yourself, you have to grade it yourself. So when you look at the student end of it. And then, like I said, the note is just like a comment or thought that you had at that time, or something, or you wanted to pause the video to reiterate something to the students. That just pops up there. Whenever you feel like that your edits are done, you say finish. And then this is when you can like assign it to your classes. So like I already have uploaded my Google Classrooms into Edpuzzle, which is pretty straightforward. You just add new class, and then you can import classes here from Google Classroom. So then they just import in there. If you don't have a Google Classroom, or you didn't want to do it that way, you could go through this process. But you could just like select a class to assign it to. you can pick your days. So like if I wanted to assign it tomorrow and then I want my due date to be next Saturday or something like that, I could say save. This is a very cool thing too, is where it prevents skipping. So while kids are watching the videos, they can't drag the thing across the bottom of it to skip through the video because they find it boring or don't want to listen to it. They just want to get to the questions. They're forced to have the video play. So that's kind of nice. You can turn that off if you didn't care, but I always keep it on. And this is closed captioning. So then when you assign it to your class, it shows up here that this is what you'll look at. And this tells you the last time a student watched it and if they turned it in on time. And this also tells you the progress of how much of the video they have actually watched.
Oh, wow.
So you can actually see like, oh, Lauren here only watched 50% of the video. She didn't finish it. So if I look at some of my classes here, so if I look at, well, I guess I can't pull their names up. It's on YouTube. But if you look at, I guess, progress or whatever, you can kind of, you can see that there. You can also post it on Google Classroom, which then on my Google Classroom, it shows up in the like classwork tab, and then you can, and it's scheduled to go out whenever you assigned it. So you don't have to reschedule it on Google Classroom. This stuff is already filled out. The only thing that I edit with it is that it doesn't follow any of your like tabs that you've created. So like if you have like, these are my math video, so that they all gather together on Google Classroom, it doesn't follow that. So you have to edit it to just put it in to follow into your classwork organization. You can also reset student progress as well. So like if somebody wants to redo it for some reason, or if they want to or if you think that they need to redo it because they did a terrible job, because it also gives them a grade here where it will say based off of your questions that you did like if your multiple choice, whether they got them right or wrong, it will also document how many they got correct or what their percentage would be for how many they have correct there. You can delete it, you can download it. We have a grade book here where it also shows you their progress. And then I have not played with Go Live, but I'm assuming that you could probably do a live lesson kind of like Nearpod or something like that. But I haven't played with that because I use this mostly for flipped classroom with that. But so on Google Classroom, it does show, the grade does show up. So whenever they submit this, they finish it on here and then they've turned it in, the grade does show up on Google Classroom. So I edit my grades. I only give kids 3 for the Google. So I change that on my Google Classroom. So it does change their grade to like fit the point value. So it's not always out of 100 if you don't want it to be. But yeah, so that's, this will show you, so this doesn't show names, but this will show you, I won't click on these. So it will show you kind of how many students have turned it in. It kind of color codes it, meaning like yellow, a decent amount, more than 50% of the kids have done it. Red if it's less than 50%, and then it gets to, if it's a green or something, but we're working on that. I think my accelerated might have some greens. See? So of how many kids have actually watched the videos. So you can kind of see that there. You can see your upcoming ones and the class members and etc. Any questions?
All right, I got one. So now that it is pro, you were
Mhm.
saying something about limitations and what you have now?
So because it was, so before, where it would say here, instead of saying pro school, it was like, I don't know, free version or something or another, but it would tell me that I had 11 out of 20 videos. So meaning that I only had 20 videos before I would have to start deleting videos, and I would have to, yeah, like I would lose, I guess, data possibly if I had to delete like some of my first videos, maybe I would lose that data on those videos. And I would, yeah, I was limited to 20. That was the biggest limitation, is that you were only limited to 20 videos. And I know like teachers that are teaching like high school, or, you know, they teach more than one, like kind of class, so they would run out of those super quick. So that's where I mean, I'm already to 11 videos, or probably more, probably 13 by now.
So are you able to recycle these then? So say you were to use the rest of this year using Edpuzzle, now that it's pro, and you keep, you know, adding it all year long. So next year, would you be able to recycle these into your next classes? Since
Yeah,
you've got them like tagged already?
I believe that if I mean, if we remained pro, my belief is that this would still be my content, and I still could pull from any of these videos. So instead of going back and having to re-edit videos, because I could re-upload videos at the beginning of the year and all that, I could have done that. But instead, all I have to do next year possibly is just assign it, because I've already added the questions and everything.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
All right, looks like we're good.
Cool.
Good job, Chelsea.
Yeah, no kidding. Thank you. This is great. And those of you guys who all suggested this, I'm glad we were able to let's see how it does, right? I mean,
Yeah, thank you so much. Like, it's been so nice. The best part is the kids can't skip forward,
yeah.
and you can actually see that they've watched it. Like, that accountability piece is huge.
I love the closed captioning part of it. When I
Yeah.
mean, that part is cool because you can force it on there. I know that's one of those things, you want compliance and this and that, but that seems like a benefit, you know, either whether you're trying to hit the compliance or not. It's cool that you can force closed captioning on so that you're just accommodating everybody, period. It's just the way we're doing it. It's not leaving it up to them to feel like they need to. So that was kind of a neat option to force that too. So cool. All right, well, let's see how it goes. And like I said, if you're using it, you know, share it around, let your peers out there who aren't using it know that it's available, you know, especially in the elementary. I don't think we have any elementary on here. No, we don't. Yeah, we do. Steven's in there. So share it around, and, you know, if they want to use it, it's there. And obviously Chelsea will help show how to do it. No.
I talked to some high school teachers, and they are over the moon thrilled that
Yes.
we have this. So thank you so much.
Not a problem. Yeah, there was a lot of them that was on that list. I think Carrie sent to me a list of, I think it was about 20, 25, you know, people that were interested. And it was so cross the board, and, you know, she was able to get a good price for a site license. Like, let's give it a try. I mean, worst comes to worst, I think it fit in that sweet spot. We were able to save some money in a couple other things here that, you know, let's realign some of that and see if it can be a benefit. And then next year we'll see if it can stick, you know, based on use, if it's used a lot. So I think
So is it like automatically, like, since I have an account, is it automatically pro?
it should be. Yeah.
Yeah.
According to the rep, that if you had an account, if it was a vp.k12.mo.us, it will recognize that and automatically do it. If it's somebody new signing up, he said that the big stickler on that is they have to verify their email, which means you sign up and it's going to send you an email that you have to click on to verify that it's appropriate, you know, like that's the actual email address. And if that's the case, then it'll join them into this account too. So it's all based on the domain. So if I were to do it on my home one, it wouldn't work. So,
When we did the training a couple weeks back, when Jocelyn walked us through, mine shows up as pro now. And I haven't
nice.
done a whole lot with it since then, but yeah, it's there in case, if that answers your question, Lauren.
Yeah, perfect.
That's what he said. It should just be automatic. So cool. All righty. Well, it looks like we got a couple more folks joining in now too. So welcome to you guys who are just popping in. Let me go ahead, and we're about ready to transition over to the next phase, which is the conversation about streaming live and virtual at the same time. So based on those surveys that I send out weekly, this week's one that seemed to have the most I'm not going to say not necessarily comments, but the most questions about, like, hey, uncertainty, what's it going to be like? How's it going to be? And it is kind of new for everybody. What was funny is the amount of people that asked about it were actually like secondary, who it doesn't hit as badly as elementary. Because elementary, like if you have a kid, you're doing it all day, every day along the way. But if you're secondary, you're doing it for when kids aren't there because maybe they're quarantined. So it's kind of an odd kind of thing, but I get it. We're all trying to prepare for everything, and that's where we're trying to help out with this. So what I ended up doing is because honestly, I'm not teaching both of those either. So it's hard for me to give any factual. So I talked to Christy Weber, kindergarten teacher, who's been doing that for 2 weeks, teaching both. So she only has one kid that she's teaching virtual, and everybody else is in person. And she wanted me to let you know that for everybody who's wondering it, because everybody's kind of wondering it, it is horrible. She says it's so difficult to do that, even just for one kid. She can't imagine having it more than one kid. I mean, she said it with a smile on her face, but you could tell that she's not lying. And we all kind of assume that too. And I asked her, is there anything that is like a formula, if you will, that can make it manageable for teachers like in elementary where you're doing it all day, every day, because half your class, I know Mike's wife, she over in Rockwood, she has 11 kids virtual and 14 in person. Oh, and how would you even manage that? So I brought that up to her, and she said, even with one, it's difficult, but her tips, and I'm not going to go in any sort of order, like beginning to end or something. I'm just kind of going by kind of how she, stream of consciousness. She said, like, the number one thing is consistency with what you are doing now, if that makes sense. Since you are virtual now, if you stay consistent in Infinite Campus, even after the kids come back full time, secondary teachers, she said, because I even mentioned secondary teachers, she's like, yes, stay with your Zoom links and your Infinite Campus, whether you're going to use them or not. If you have every kid in your class, still keep the Infinite Campus with the Zoom links in there scheduled, and be consistent about the times on there. She's like, because the schedule, what she does is she creates a schedule. Since she's all in one, she created one Zoom link for the whole day, every day for that week, for every week in that month. And she sends that out to the parents, and she gives them a schedule of times when to click on that link. So that way, Johnny or whatever the name is, they click on the link at 8:30 in the morning, and then they're done by 8:45 or something like that. And they click again at 9:15, because when you're in person, you have a different schedule than when you're online. You can consolidate when you're online and compile all that stuff. But in the classroom, she's like, there's restroom breaks, there's drink breaks, there's snack breaks, there's, this and that. She's like, so if you can have some kind of a schedule, she was thinking, yeah, secondary teachers already have a schedule. They're going to come in at 9 o'clock and be there till 9:45. So that's kind of the schedule. But if you're consistent with that in Infinite Campus, have that link, have it in there, whether they need it or not. That way, if a kid shows up or doesn't show up because they're quarantined and you didn't know it, and now they have to do that, you don't have to rush to get a link and to get it in Infinite Campus and everything. She's like, do it at the beginning of the week or at the end of the week for the next week, have it in there. She's like, I do mine, so it's all set up for the whole week. And that consistency has helped her out the most, she said. So I asked her what the biggest one, and that's what she said. She also said one of the tricks was the camera, because part of it is that you want the camera to be pointing at the board. And this is something Mike also brought up too, because he consoles his wife on this too, because she comes home like you guys do. So he's like, make sure the camera, if you're using one of those webcams or whatever, is focusing on the board and not you necessarily, because you are a distraction to the kids at times when they're trying to focus on the content on the board, if that makes sense. Now, there's times when you want you to be the focus, But if you're trying to focus on the board, have the focus be the board. So maybe point that webcam towards the board. So that way you can be off to the side, maybe talking, they hear you, your class hears you. But the students at home can see the content, what's trying to be delivered. And the board is that content. Now it's tricky since a lot of your content you're delivering is on the computer to the board streaming and stuff like that. So that's where maybe you extend screen or something like that to where you're using that second screen aspect of projecting to be the content on the board. And then the webcam is viewing that content on the board, if that makes sense. Because you want to kind of focus on that. Let's see
So
what.
instead of like a share screen with the Zoomers, you would actually share it via the camera.
That's what she was saying. Yeah, have the camera being it because you want the kids, because otherwise you're projecting your screen, which is a Zoom screen, and it just makes it a little more awkward. She was saying to have the Zoom off to the side and have the camera focusing on the board and have that be the content. Now, kindergarten also does a lot of writing on the board, not necessarily projecting on the board as much. So her content is like stuff that's out there, counting day wall, number wall, things of that sort. But that same content, she was thinking that would probably be the best way. I think this is one of those things where use what works for you, but that was kind of her thoughts. Everybody's a little bit different. Everybody's a lot different. So try it, but that was her kind of thought, is just project what's on the board. And share this. Yeah, go ahead, Jerry.
Patrick, did she have access to a TA?
She does not.
Okay.
Yeah, not for that. Yeah, that's, wouldn't that be nice?
I was just wondering if that's how I'm going to end up being utilized, to be a liaison between the remote kids and the in-class teacher.
There's so many different ways that I follow a bunch of districts around the country. Every district does something different. And I have a feeling that
would be awesome, Jerry. That would be very awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So that would be awesome to have a TA helping. That'd be great.
I don't know whether
I'll take you.
Yeah, I'm not, well, my lead teacher's on this thing, so I can't speak.
Lay off. He's mine.
I was gonna say, I'll take an extra body in my room.
That's it.
I'm just wondering if that's how I'm going to end up being utilized.
It's hard.
I'm worried about the remote kids.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people are. Yeah, and the best teachers are. Yeah.
Especially, the special needs kids,
Yeah. Laura, you got a hand up. What up?
Well, something that we talked about in our breakout rooms earlier today was utilizing a student to assign a kid to be that liaison who's kind of watching over for you and maybe popping in and just saying hey, someone in the chat has a question. So trying to maybe set it up where you might just, either assign a random kid each day or each week, or maybe a responsible one to kind of just be like your scribe via, or just the bridge between the two.
That's a cool idea.
That program with the upperclassmen where they come in and assist. They're not going to be back for a while, right? But maybe they could help.
Yeah, I don't know when. I think they're coming back. Last I heard, end of the month. But that's not even. If you try to nail anybody down in that, I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay.
With the rest of this world, right? It can change. Let's see. One of the other tips she said, time off task. We always know how difficult that is. Her biggest thing in kindergarten, especially, is when she turns her back on the kindergartners to try to set up the screen or anything for that time. She only has one kid, like I said, and her waiting for that child to join in, right? In the 2 minutes it might take, well, that's 2 minutes with your back or whatever. The kids are kind of off task. She's like, so maybe that's when you start paying more attention to activities for off task. You know what I mean? Not like punishment activities, but things to, bridges, if you will. Yeah, I know when I was growing up, it was Heads Up, 7-Up. That was the bridge between different activities. Maybe that's something that keeps kids engaged while you are waiting for Johnny to join in. She said if you have more than one kid, though, theoretically, it can take up to 5 minutes, depending on their schedule of being in. So that's where she was saying the schedule, she got back to that. The schedule is so important. Keep it scheduled, keep it consistent so that at 8:30 every day, you're expecting those kids and you're communicating with moms and dads that I have to have you on at 8:30. If you're not on at 8:30, I'll try to get you on when we can, but you kind of move a little bit. So you got to keep one eye on the screen, one eye on the kids, and one eye on the board. And Yeah, she's like, just as long as there's some level of consistency with the timings, it helps being able to admit kids. Now if you have, like, again, secondary kids quarantine sort of thing, you might only have 1 or 2 or 3, which isn't too bad. If you have a classroom like Mike's, where Mike's wife, where his wife has 11, theoretically you could be waiting, several minutes while the other class is off task, if you will. So something to keep them occupied while you're waiting, and then join them back. That's where kind of the art of teaching and coming up with the creativity of something like that, she thought was kind of the biggest aspect there, and with her managing that part. Let's see, she only had a couple others that she really tried to tell me. Again, maintain the infinite campus and the Zoom links, even if you're not anticipating it. She said that a couple of times. Let's see, one of the questions, and it was actually a theme on the survey this week, was also, I know a lot of people asked about the mic systems and stuff. She said that didn't really impact her with the kindergarten so much as having a mic so that people could hear, whether it's on Zoom or in person, they can hear her, is what she said. But she did say because of the mask, her mouth did get dry. She's like, so lifesavers. She's like, lifesavers have been my savior. Because they can hear, like kindergarten. She's like, my kindergartners can hear me. It's not a problem.
I will attest to that.
Really?
Lots.
Okay.
I mean, it is so
Yeah, you've been doing it this week too. Yeah.
Yes, I've been doing it this week. I have 2 virtual kids and 12 in class right now. It is so hot because you're trying to project your voice so much. Like I'm trying to take little sips, of water under the mask, but maybe have like mints or, like she said, lifesavers, whatever.
Yep. That's
Just
exactly
a little
what she said.
something, because it's bad. I mean, it's hard.
Yep.
Sorry.
No,
Sorry,
no,
Jennifer.
definitely. You're an expert at this too, because you got more.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm
So is there
trying.
any- Does this stuff sound consistent with what your experience
Yes.
is? Okay,
Yes, it does.
cool. And her last thing.
One of my questions,
Yeah,
Patrick, though, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yep, this may come up more, like, I don't know if it's a common issue, but I can't use 2 USBs at one time because there's only one port. Is
Does
there
that
any way
service,
we can get like a adapter or a hub or something?
I can look into that. I'm not going to say yes or no, just because the budgets and everything. I can look into it. Okay, that's
So
about-
how are we supposed to, like,
Yeah.
I just have to pick and choose?
pretty much. You mean as far as cameras, whether you're using document camera or the webcam sort of thing?
Yeah.
Because that was kind of the trick, was getting that extra camera. It's like, well, which one do I use? I want to use this and then switch to this. And
Yeah. So it
I
does.
know, I agree with you completely on that. So that's something I
Okay.
am looking into, because they're not incredibly expensive. I think they're like 15. I think Michelle Weirk just bought one. I think it was $15, $20 on
Yeah.
Amazon. So it's one of those things, I'm looking into it.
Okay.
But until I can get a little clarity on what I can and cannot, and what's available more than anything
Right.
else. 'Cause
Okay.
The world is all buying those too. So trying to find stuff is kind of fun. So yeah, Jared, go ahead, man.
Webcam, like at the document camera, if you turn it upside down.
Say again.
Well, yeah, but sometimes you need to use 2 different, like with my in-persons and it's just hard to do it that way sometimes.
Yeah, because if you want to show something on the board that is on the document camera that you also want to stream on the webcam to the kids at home.
Right.
And even
It's
then,
a lot. It's a
kinda
lot of
hoping it'll-
stopping.
yeah.
It's a lot of, hold on, guys, it's a lot of
And
patience.
that's
Like,
actually the last thing that Christy actually recommended was keep it simple, and just for that case, because this is kind of, you guys are doing awesome. Let me put it that way. The ed puzzles and all the other kind of concepts you guys are throwing out there. You guys, the first 3 weeks was a comfort level. And then I could tell a shift where you guys were like, oh, let's do this and this. And the excitement level grew. But she's like, once you jump to the both concept, you have to not necessarily dial it back, but just be aware of the simplicity that you kind of need to have to make it work. Because you can get too complicated. And then, like, Dawn was saying, it takes a little bit of time, and then that little bit of time becomes off task time for those kids. And again, you only have 2 kids you're waiting for to join in and trying to make sure it works. And, the simpler you can keep it, the better, is kind of what she said on that last one. Not necessarily be cheap with your instruction. You know what I mean? It's a difference. You still, she was like, still be a good teacher, but keep it as simple as possible, focused as possible, and then as things grow and comfort grows, and honestly, you guys come up with cool ideas and share it out. That's where it really comes from. Because some of this is just, I asked Christy Weber, who's been doing it for 2 weeks, and Dawn isn't the second best expert here. And we're all learning from everybody, is going to be the kind of concept. Because I don't know that anybody has ever done this both ways before in this manner, right? So yeah. Whew. Yeah, Jerry, go for it, man.
Would the USB hub have to be some specialized USB hub? Because I've seen those for like less than $5 at.
Well, it has to be one that plugs in. So it's got to be one that has the ability to plug in for power, because if you're going
Oh.
to use the cameras, the cameras pull their skill off of power that's being fed by USB.
Got it.
It's not necessarily a bridge where it's just plug in and split data. You're actually
Okay.
having to split power too. So that's
Okay.
one of the things when you get those, you have to pay attention to get one that's powered. And then
Okay.
you also have to make sure you have a power source, a power
never
strip or
even-
something nearby.
I've never even seen a powered one. So-
Yeah, yeah, there's powered ones. Sometimes they're on docks, like if you get like some
Yeah.
kind of a dock scenario. But there's
Yeah.
powered ones. I think I've got one.
That's
here.
an important distinction.
Yeah,
So-
I've got one here. I don't know if you can see, kind of on the back. So that's the connector for USB that goes to the computer. And that right there is the power. So it's a
Right.
port that you plug in, it powers it, and then, good Lord, now it's broken. But then it splits it to you have the four,
Yes.
and then each of them can power a different device. If it's just a flash drive, they don't need that power. But
Got
if
it.
it's a webcam, it does.
So
Um,
if I'm looking on Amazon and there's something it's called a data USB hub, is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
That-
kind of make sure that if it plugs in, it will do what you need to do. Like power, like if it's got an AC adapter.
You want to
So
see that
it
word
might call it
power
a
in the
data
description.
one, but as long as it's powered, then you know it'll push that power through to the other devices.
I found, I happened to, well, I'll look through, but there might be one that it just has, it's 4, but has buttons on it. It's like $8, but I
Right.
will research further.
Oh, and I'm still looking at them too. Like I said, the ones I saw, like this one, I got this one's from like 2 years ago, which just kind of happened. That one I think was 20. So it's just a matter of finding them. There's all kinds out there. So I'll keep
So it
looking
needs
see
to-
what I can find.
It needs to plug into our computer and then have a splitter where we can plug other stuff into
Yep.
it.
That's what it is. So this is the back is the splitter part. So your computer will plug into this
Okay,
through USB, and then this then becomes 4 more USBs.
got
Is
it.
there anything we can do to request, does Dr. Dilge need to hear that teachers need this?
That's more me trying to find it and trying to fit it inside my budget and work with Susan as far as how we budget it. So I'm hoping to get it to you because it is, again, all these things are kind of coming in waves because like last year, not one person asked for that. Now that we're in a situation that requires it, it's like, wow, we need it like yesterday. So I'm
Is there
kind of trying to get
CARES
it
Act
and I
money?
gotta go through certain channels.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, that's on the thing too. That I'm trying to get for you guys, along with those webcams that we've been trying to push out. Yeah, Jerry again. What up, man?
Yeah, I went on Amazon just now and I typed the word powered, and the first thing on the list was powered USB hub.
Yeah, it's kind of a popular thing right now because
And
you're
there's
not
a
the
big
only one.
price range.
Do what?
There's a big price range.
Yeah, and honestly, it doesn't need to be the high end ones because sometimes they do it supply demand sort of things. Like I said, that one's about 20, and I'm sure that was 2 years ago. I'm sure it's probably less now, but you're gonna get what you pay for. So
Low end's 15,
lowest is 15.
16 actually.
Okay, well, and that's one of the things we're kind of looking at and trying to see how quick we can get. So
Right.
hopefully in the next week or two, I can have something that I can email out. Yeah, Carrie.
Do you foresee us needing 2 screens when we're in front of kids, or do you think
So-
that would go down to 1?
Good question. A lot of teachers have the 2 screens, but I'm not necessarily sure you'll need it once the kids come back. Virtually, it helps because you have that second screen where you can kind of see the faces. But when you're back in person, you're seeing all the faces live. And the one kid that's at home, maybe not necessarily, because you can't really have that you're not supposed to, right, Dawn, have the webcam facing the kids anyway. You want it facing the content. Because they don't want to be streaming the class kids.
Right. We,
sort of
we
thing.
said hi, but that was it.
Say again?
I said, say hi. And they're like,
Exactly.
okay, but that was all.
That's it. You got to be careful with that, especially recording it. So you might not necessarily need it. It wouldn't hurt to have it, because I'm a second screen kind of guy personally. That's how I work. Your projectors are secondary screens. And theoretically, it can be a third screen. So if you have 2 screens and you project up and make that extended also, you have 3 screens. So you can make certain scenarios like that work. Now, I've only got a couple extra monitors around and connectors. So if folks do need that, I can probably provide a few more, but I don't have too many more for that. But it's one of those kind of see where you're fitting. Like, Dawn, do you have 2 screens? No. Okay. Just
Sorry,
one.
I said my
That's
mouth.
right.
No, I don't, but I'm gonna try my iPad next
Yes.
week. And I'm gonna try that as my virtual well, I have 1 to 2 depending on the day.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that's what I'm gonna try to do is use the iPad as the Zoom
Yeah.
and then see if
And I've
that
heard
works.
of that from the elementary because, and for those in secondary, elementary is Project Lead the Way. So as part of that grant, they all had a second, an iPad device as part of their classroom to teach with the Project Lead the Way stuff. So a couple other teachers are doing that too, where the iPad, now there was some issues with a couple of them, so heads up, but I think it was resolvable based on just what the resources an iPad can do with Zoom as opposed to the computer. But yeah, that's what they were thinking, is the iPad being the Zoom mechanism, and it has a camera on it and can do that, and then use the classroom computer for classroom stuff. So that's a great point. Yeah.
So some of us STEM people, remember how we did that STEM thing through WashU, could potentially bring that second laptop in, hook
Yeah.
the webcam to the second laptop,
Yep.
just have that show what's going on, and then we teach like we would normally have taught beforehand.
Perfect. It's a great example. That's a fantastic example. You would
That's-
just do that, stream it, and go. And it
That's
joins to the
fantastic.
guest network, and away you are. That's actually a scenario we were kind of contemplating ahead, like back in June, was that kind of scenario for secondary, having those old Dell computers, which we're actually using with kindergarten and 3rd and 4th, because we're 1-to-1. We were hoping that we wouldn't need it, and we could have a scenario where we would put those in the secondary classrooms as a second computer for streaming with a webcam like this. The only problem is we needed all of those for
Okay.
kindergarten to be able to do this. So yeah, but that's exactly the right concept. And that's where the iPad kind of idea, if you have a second thing, I know we don't, like every device we have is pretty much with kids or broken from kids, and in the process of being fixed. So we're kind of working on that, and we've got some reinforcements on the way, but that's last I heard not till February. So is when because everybody in the world's trying to get those Dell laptops. So, and HPs are even worse, and Lenovo's don't exist anymore. I can't even get that one. So yeah, but Dell will guarantee, they said February. So we're going to take care of 3rd and 4th grade then, which will give us some of those computers that we can then, but by then, who knows where we'll be at and what situations are, but at least it's flexibility down the road. And all we can do is accommodate until then.
I'm wondering about projecting onto my screen. I often do like a video clip or a slide deck on Google Slides or whatever. How well are they going to see that through, a webcam on Zoom? Would it
Well,
be
that
better
webcam
if I sent
Not
that?
well.
Yeah, it's not, I'm not going to lie, it's not going to be
Not well.
great, but that webcam isn't bad, right?
Okay.
But it's not the same as Zoom, sharing it through Zoom. You know what I mean? That's the best way to see it for the kids at home. But again, how many kids are you going to have at home? Like, say the end of the month, secondary comes back. Theoretically, you're going to have all your kids there, and the ones that aren't are going to be in the what's it called?
Edgenuity.
Edgenuity. Sorry, I keep forgetting that. So really, secondaries plan for the worst and hope for the best at this point. And unfortunately, elementary is planning for the worst, and you're going to get the worst scenario because you are teaching 2 classes at the same time, flat out, until kids come back. Secondary, you're planning to do it, but not necessarily like all the time, like they are, which is going to be the trick. That might even be harder because you won't know day to day when you're doing it, if that makes sense. So, and all I'm trying to do is help you guys out the best I can, and that's Mike and Zach and your principals. I mean, this is all new, and I love these ideas, and that's where those weekly surveys are so helpful because you guys are giving us ideas on what you need, and we can kind of try helping because you guys are front lines on this stuff. So I appreciate that.
I was also thinking, Patrick, like if we did something on Nearpod, which has the live lesson format,
Okay.
all students would technically be participating at the same time. They could watch me on the Zoom if they wanted, but they're really participating on you know what I mean? The interaction. I just think,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna have the logistics.
And
on
that's
it.
kind of the trick, because that was another thought was theoretically you could just Zoom and everybody just click on your Zoom link and you can be sitting in the back of the room or at home or wherever and teaching. The trick is then every kid is in the room with headphones on, just, it's a different level of participation, right? It's almost as if they were at home right now. They're just in the room, and I don't know that anything's right or not. So,
Well,
but
yeah,
I see
Mary,
what you're saying, keeping that integration.
I think what happens, Mary, then is you have even more of the kids logging in that are at home quarantine, just logging in and disappearing. Like, how do you hold them to some sort of standard? Because, you know, what do you call on somebody from Zoom, and then you call on somebody from the room, and then you call on somebody from Zoom? I mean, how do you do that?
Yeah.
I think because once they get into middle school and high school, they are left alone a lot. And they're not doing the work. Not a lot of them, but they're just, about 8 of them in 6th grade at least.
And remember, no names. This is YouTube.
Oh, oops, I forgot. Luckily, I didn't say name.
Just joking. Sorry. No, I agree with you. That's kind of the dance you got to play on this. And you see it in the elementary. I know it, and other places are, coming up, and I don't even know what our philosophy is. I just know that from the responses, I thought the best way was to really kind of go to Christy, who's been doing it for 2 weeks, and just, hey, what are you seeing as like, some golden bullets, silver bullets that are kind of helping. Just because I don't know that there's a right answer and I don't know that there's a wrong answer. There's just a whole bunch of answers, and kind of see what works, because seriously with Dawn, yeah, go ahead, Dawn.
I was just thinking, as we, proceed with more kids coming back, maybe just revisit it like each week almost. Like, what worked this week? Any tips or any advice or something, maybe, as more people are starting to do it?
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's something maybe we can jump into, and more of these. I know you guys are kind of doing that on your staff meetings. I think Kelly told me you guys did that the other day, trying to be predictive and getting some ideas about anticipating what's coming up. So yeah, definitely, whether it's staff meetings or even on these, especially on these, when you guys put on that survey, different topics, I see the trends, which is nice. And it's the ones that are the cross-building trends are the ones that stick, right? Those are the ones that are really big. The building trends are ones that are kind of tied to environment, but the ones that are cross-building are big trends. So that's where that's where this comes in, because this is a big cross-building thought process. And it is across district and across the country thought process, because people are doing this. So, and if you guys hear anything, feel free to share out too. I don't know if there's a good way to share out besides this. Yeah, Mary. Oh, she's saying bye. So cool. Any other words of wisdom for the rest of us in this world?
So when we do the webcam, will we not need the extended monitor like we've been doing right now? Put the kids
I'm not going to say you're not going to need it or not. And the only reason I say this is because you're different. Like how you teach might be different than the way Laura teaches.
Okay.
And I guarantee it is, unless you're singing all day, which you might. But it's one of those things where I think it'll be, see what works for you. And if you have it and use it and see a way to adapt it, go for it. I mean, it couldn't hurt. That's
figure out if I keep my big monitor that I have, and I can put the kid up there, or the kids that are feasibly not going to be at school. And then I still have my laptop that I can project my lesson and do my things from.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how that's going to work to extend it to the projector so that everybody in the room can see it, and then figure out what to do with a webcam. So right there, I've just named 4 different things, and I'm like, and I think that's what the other lady was saying. Do we have enough ports to do all this?
Power cords. Do you have wires? Do you have space? Everything.
Right,
well, the thing I literally saw it in Christy's room, that she actually has like a table that's up in the front of the room on wheels. Mm-hmm. And she rolls it to where it's facing where she is, so she can see the kid at home. The webcam is facing the board. So, and she can still project, but it's a nice cart. I mean, it's not big, and it's on wheels, and she just rolls it. You need to stop by her room and see. She'll show you. And if anybody wants to, she said she's more than welcome to talk to you if you have any questions. But that little cart of hers, I told her she needs to monetize that and like sell it, make some, because it's a perfect size. It's right up in the front of the room by the power cord. She can see the kid's face on the Zoom, the webcam is facing the board, but she can also still project wirelessly to the projector if it needs to be up there, and the webcam is still shooting it. So it's kind of neat and compact. It's hard to describe. So if you want to swing by, she said she's more than welcome to show you. And honestly, if you swing by during the day, she's using it. It's really kind of cool. So I think like Dawn said, Dawn's the same scenario. A lot of people. So Stacy, if you just take what your setup is and just move it to the front of the room, same concept, right? It's just right up front. You see the kids. It's just instead of sitting, you're standing, and you point it towards the board instead of you, sort of thing. So, but yeah, I think there's no right answer on it. I think it's just today I'm going to try this, and tomorrow I'm going to try this, and
Trying to figure out if I have enough ways to extend it all.
and
That's
you're in that room. I don't even know. That's the trick. Yeah,
That's what I'm
because
trying
these
to.
rooms are all being reconfigured as we speak. So I think it's kind of difficult.
But do I need any of those plugs that are in the wall for the current things? That was my only other question.
Oh
because
yeah. No,
that's
nothing.
front.
I don't think anything of your setup actually needs to plug into the wall except for like power.
Okay, well, there is a plug, an outlet behind me, so
Yeah.
I should be fine with that.
Yeah. Besides power, all the other plugs are obsolete anymore because
Okay.
everything's wireless to either the amp or the projector. So you should be good to go. Like from where you are right now in that other room, you can do everything up to that other screen without any wires.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that was my only question is like, how do I get it? Like right now I've got a dual monitor, basically.
Yeah.
How do I go from that dual monitor to extending it to the projector?
Yep. That's just the stream it to the projector, turn the projector on like we normally do.
Okay.
To project it there. And then it just becomes a third screen.
And
So
it's wireless? Is that my
it's
understanding?
and that one will be wireless. Yeah. Yeah.
That
so
I
it's-
didn't know. I was looking for cords and I couldn't
Oh,
figure
gotcha.
out how to do
Yeah.
it.
Same wireless projection up to there. So you're good to go up on the board. So
Perfect.
looks
Okay.
like it's just us three.
That answers most of my questions, I think. I'm just gonna have to play with it and figure it out, so.
Yeah, answers your questions right now. Give it a couple days.
Oh, no, I just have to move back over there and rearrange it all. A third time now. I'm like,
Yeah.
I moved twice. I'm like, I think I'm getting this down now.
All right, well, I'm going to stop the recording right now. There we go. And then I think I'm going to try to